Hello everyone, I'm Mike D'Angelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Mafia 2 by 2K Czech. Video games are interesting in that they often have the potential to take us out of the plausible lives we lead and into something more surreal. How many times have you played a game that put you in the boots of a knight in shining armor, or on the bridge of a spaceship that explores the galaxy? Less common are the more realistic shooter titles that put you into modern battles, or war in the streets. Still, one of the least walked paths in gaming is what was happening in the United States in the 1940s. A new release from 2K Games is taking the path less traveled, with a title called Mafia 2. With storylines lightly akin to The Godfather and a time period that is rarely explored, the game brings you to a safer neck of the woods and leaves, for the most part, World War II on the other side of the planet.
Appears that your injury is much more serious than it first appeared, and the doctors say you can't fight no more.
What? Oh, did you just...
Like I said, I know people.
Some stories start at the beginning. Those humble introductions for Vito Scaletta chronicle his family's arrival to America from Sicily. When they arrive at the fictional city of Empire Bay, they learn that the Promised Land was not everything they heard on hopeful whispers. They must work hard, but sometimes we stray from our paths. Vito is caught leading a risky lifestyle and is punished by being shipped off to fight in World War II. A bullet sends him on vacation shortly after, however, and he finds himself returned home, where his family's lives are falling into shambles. With Vito's father dead and his family indebted, it falls to him to try to make things right. A friend, Joe, weasels his way back into the Army vet's life and begins pushing him into working for the more prominent families of Empire Bay. The script of the game is well written, smart most of the time, but gritty when it needs to be. Some people will notice that it seems a lot like most mobster movies, but it retains enough of its own character to move forward without too much strain.
Don't show your face around here again.
Don't worry. I can make 100 times more working for Barbaro. Hey,
For the most part, Mafia 2 is like your typical sandbox genre game, but with one huge difference. It's fairly linear. Once you understand that, though, your time in Empire Bay becomes much more enjoyable. There are many parts that shine, but the gameplay is a little lackluster. That isn't to say that anything is broken or really terrible, but there are some complaints to make a note of. For one, the pacing is a little awkward. There's probably just as much time that you'll spend driving from one part of the city to the other as there is that you'll actually tackle one of your objectives. Thankfully, the driving is comfortable and simple. For you, anyway. Just like real life, accidents happen. Unfortunately, sometimes these accidents happen to a person you're supposed to follow, through no fault of your own. You'll fail the mission and have to go at it all over. On the other hand, when you actually get the opportunity to get into a gunfight, things can get hectic, and as a result, really fun. Some weapons are genuine death dealers, and the developer didn't hide that fact. Clearly, though, the gameplay wasn't the greatest part of Mafia 2.
fuck you.
What Mafia 2 does best is gather you into its story with a pristine presentation. The visuals are top of the line, with excellently designed characters and stunning backdrops and locales. Everything has a fluid feel, and animates nicely as well. It's very difficult to think of many games that are so exquisitely beautiful. The audio doesn't have to struggle to keep up either. The game's sounds play their part well, and the music that is representative of the time is perfect for this game. The vocals steal the show, however. The actors in the title are among the best of the best, and they really help to keep you grounded in the tale. Unfortunately, the cutscenes within the game may keep you a little too grounded. With about 2 hours of captured footage within Mafia 2, you're often left watching the action instead of partaking in it.
Hey, what you doing, motherfucker?
Then, there's the worst part of the game. Mafia 2's linearity definitely takes what would have been a strong showing and strips it of its muscles. In an open city like Empire Bay, you should be able to do a whole range of things. While you can travel from place to place, all the areas in between are, for the most part, just backgrounds. The downside is that there's a lot in between. You spend the majority of your time either watching a cutscene or driving to your next objective. There's no real chance to do anything that isn't mundane besides the scripted story. That prospect looks even poorer when you consider that the length of this particular game only stretches to around 10 hours in. And even when you finish the game, there isn't too much available to try and entice you back. What is most disappointing about Mafia 2 is that you can see that a little more time with some extra polish could have done wonders for the game. Certain aspects of the game are much weaker than they should be, and the design choices are a little questionable. That said, the title does excel in some regards as well. More developers should look to the kind of work that was put into this game's graphical quality and superb script, just as long as they don't forget everything else about the title. That's Entertainment awards Mafia 2 a score of 8 out of 10.
Vito!